This whole incident is classified secret, and you're not to talk about it to anybody.
Sworn to secrecy, you don't tell anyone.
If you were to write home about it, you would be subject to court-martial.
It was 1939. A riverside town in New Jersey by the name of South River was busy digging itself out of the Depression. Young and ambitious, Joseph Pajinski was in his senior year at South River High School when he started working nights at a Main Street department store, while Joe was busy selling shoes at his new job. An Austrian scientist by the name of Dr. Herbert Wagner was busy with his own job, designing a radio-guided missile. His brilliant mind was engrossed in missile technology for years before he became a missile design engineer at an aircraft company who was under contract with Nazi Germany. As the graduating class of South River was smiling for pictures and Joe was heading down the aisle to receive his high school diploma back in New Jersey, a pilot in training by the name of Hans Doctorman received his own diploma, graduating top in his class at an airline school in Germany. A year later, the pilot, now known as Captain Hans Doctorman, was chosen for an elite group of pilots to train and experiment with Hitler's new guided missile called the HS-293. At 21 years old, the draft age in 1942, Joe Pajinski was recently married and on his way to basic training for the U.S. Army.
Dear Mom, it's been a long time since I last wrote you. You'll have to excuse me because we have such little time to ourselves. I can no longer tell you anything we do here. I can't even tell you about the weather. Every little thing is a military secret. I was promoted to sergeant last Thursday and it made me very happy. I guess I'll say so long for now, but we'll write again soon. Your loving son, Sergeant Joe.
The rookie soldier's first day of war started off the coast of North Africa, where he boarded a British transport ship called the HMT Rohna, along with 2,000 other U.S. soldiers on Thanksgiving Day, 1943. The following day, the German pilot Captain Hans Doctorman, now the commander of a bomber plane, launched a new high-tech missile. This new missile, the HS-293, designed by no other than scientist Dr. Herbert Wagner, was guided straight into the side of the HMT Rohna.
The bomb was moving at something like 500 miles an hour, so it was pretty fast and coming straight at us.
Bomb exploded. That wood splintered and it flew around like a spear. You should see some of the bodies were impaled with 4x4s, 2x4s, right through their body. You couldn't walk the deck, it was so bloody.
Burned in my mind is looking back and seeing this huge hole, which I and others described big enough to drive a Mack truck through, and on the flames, and you could see the boys, some of them were running and trying to get out, and some didn't.
I could hear men out there. The words I could hear was, Mama, Mama.
The War Department classified the attack, ordering all survivors to remain silent. The guided missile attack was erased from history, along with the 1,000 soldiers who died that day when the burning ship sunk to the bottom of the sea. 18 months later, Dr. Herbert Wagner surrendered to a U.S. Navy intelligence team. He was then smuggled out of Germany and flown to Washington, D.C. The U.S. War Department considered Dr. Wagner as a man with skills unmatched anywhere in the world. His knowledge was so critical to the development of missile technology that special agents brought Wagner back to the U.S. and inducted him into a secret program. He was swiftly employed at the brand new Missile Test Center in California and became an American citizen residing in Newport Beach.
Dr. Herbert Wagner was rushed to the U.S. This is even before Hitler had taken his own life. We badly wanted Wagner's expertise in fighting the Japanese in the Pacific.
The pilot commanding the bomber plane, who had just been promoted to major, didn't fare as well. Major Doctorman was captured and imprisoned by the British Army. After the war ended, he was released and returned to Germany. Major Doctorman carried the burden of the attack for the rest of his life, stating, "The war will never be over in my mind until the day I die."
He was very remorseful at what he had done, and he cried when he tried to talk about it. He asked his grandson, would he apologize on his behalf?
I know of this disaster from the words of my grandfather, Major Hans Doctorman. He never wanted to be a bomber pilot. He was told by the draftsman he may just have an accident if he didn't follow orders. He always hoped that he'd be forgiven. I now carry not his burden, but his blood, and the knowledge that war is hell for all sides.
6 months after the attack, Joe's mother received a telegram from the War Department stating that Sergeant Joseph Pajinski died. The telegram also stated no information available.
One night we were watching television, and it was a war story, and it was a ship that was going down, and my husband was crying. And I said, "Oh, Fred, it's just a story." He said, "But that happened to me." So, excuse me, that's how I found out about the Rohna.
Losing 1,000 people, how could you cover that up? But they did.
May those bones around her rusty hull forever rest in peace. And the men who sailed the Rohna have their page in history.